Oi, Brasilingos! I'm here today to talk to you about corn. That's right, milho. But you say, Amanda, come on, corn's corn. What is there to talk about? Isn't corn the same like all over the world? No, that's what we're gonna find out. So it's that time of year again in Brazil, Festa Junina. It's like in the months of June and July, they do all these parties in celebration of some saints. And the big attraction, one of the big attractions, is the food. And there's a big theme around things that are made with corn and things that are made with peanuts. So it's a perfect time of year to talk about corn. So corn in the US and corn in Brazil are not the same corn. When my husband moved up here to the US and he tried our corn, he was weirded out by the fact that our corn is sweet. Which for me, I grew up with sweet corn and I didn't even notice it was sweet. It was just corn. But it's different. In Brazil, the corn is not as sweet as it is here. It's more neutral, I guess you would say, but it doesn't have that sweetness. And I don't feel like it's as crisp in Brazil, where the corn here is sweeter and a little bit crisper. Also, a big difference is the way that you cook the corn. Here in the US, you just boil some water, you throw your corn on the cobs in, and within like 5 to 10 minutes, I think I usually do like 7 minutes, it's done and it's perfect and it's hot and you throw some butter on it and eat it and it's delicious. In Brazil, the corn is more like hard, so it needs to cook for way longer, and you usually cook it in a pressure cooker. So 30 minutes in the pressure cooker to cook the corn versus like 5 minutes here in the US in the boiling water. So very different styles of cooking, a little bit different tastes. Now let's talk about ways to eat the corn, because the ways we eat it, there's some, of course, some things are the same, but there's a lot more uses, I feel, for corn in Brazilian culture than there is in the US culture or American culture. So let's start by talking about the United States because it's a little bit easier. First of all, we eat corn just on the cob. Corn on the cob, very common during the summer months. You do cookouts, you grill, you make your corn on the cob with your butter. Perfect. Another one that's kind of an obvious given is popcorn. So popcorn in the US, pipoca in Brazil, it's popcorn, it's the same. So that's pretty much across the board. Another typical recipe in the US that isn't even technically American, but what is American food anyway? I feel like most of our food has been imported from some other country at some point in time. So shepherd's pie. Shepherd's pie, you make it with ground beef, you throw a layer of corn on top. Some people put other vegetables too, like a mix of maybe corn and green beans and peas or carrots, whatever veggies there. And then a layer of mashed potatoes on the top. So it's delicious. I love it. But that is a very typical American dish that has kind of been like imported from Ireland, England, Europe. Another place you're gonna see a lot of corn is in like Mexican dishes or Tex-Mex. So like a taco salad, you might see corn, or like these black bean and corn salsas. You'll see corn. Things of that nature that are, again, not technically American, but Americanized and very common to eat in the US. Then there's corn chowder. Corn chowder is delicious. It's kind of like clam chowder. It's like a creamy soup, and it's made with like corn and potatoes, and it's super yummy. And then the other food that's pretty common here to eat is cornbread. And cornbread's really made out of cornmeal. So, I mean, that's a byproduct of corn. It's made of corn. So we'll count it in this video. Cornbread. So it's similar to like bolo de fubá in Portuguese. It's like the same type of thing. But we don't typically eat cornbread here as a dessert. We eat cornbread as like a side. So we're having like a barbecue with like a side of bread and maybe some honey butter on top or regular butter. So it's not really considered a dessert here in the US like it is in Brazil. Now let's talk about corn in Brazil. So first of all, corn in Brazil is referred to as milho verde, or green corn, even though the corn is not green. Like The outside of it is green, the part that you peel, but the corn kernels are still yellow. But anyway, it's good to know that it's called milho verde because you will see that a lot. So let's start with the heartier, more like salty meal type foods that have corn in them. So first of all, you might see corn on pizza. Not super common in the US. I don't think I've ever seen pizza with corn on it here, but you might see that in Brazil. Also, hot dogs or cachorro quente has corn. Typically, you're gonna see onions and peppers, ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, corn, peas, Parmesan cheese. They put everything on there. Batata palha. I mean, you can't even see the hot dog meat underneath all the toppings. It's a mouthful, but it's so delicious. Also, salads. It's not uncommon to see people putting corn on salads. I do see that in the US too. That's not super uncommon to see corn on a salad. Like I was saying, like taco salads and stuff like that. But in Brazil, you'll see it as well. Also, creme de milho is like a soup, like a creamy corn soup. Made out of corn. You'll even see people adding corn to their rice. Arroz de forno has corn in it. You're also gonna see corn in some of your side dishes, like salpicón. So salpicón, I would classify into a group with like potato salads, macaroni salads. It's made with shredded chicken and diced ham, corn, peas, raisins. There's different things people put in there. Parsley, onions, batata palha on top, of course, because that makes everything better, and mixed up with mayonnaise. And that's actually one of my favorite side dishes. It's so good. And then a couple other things you're gonna see in Brazil with corn in it is polenta, which we have polenta here in the US too, but I feel like it's a little bit more common in Brazil. And also pamonha, which is like the Brazilian version of tamales. Now let's talk sweets. So this is something where we start getting very different from American culture because we don't have sweets in the US with corn, really. Like, that's not a typical thing for us to do. But in Brazil, it's not uncommon to see popsicles made with corn. Picolé de milho verde. And that sounds weird. It's actually very good. Very delicious. I don't think it really tastes like corn. Just tastes yummy. Also, sorvete, ice cream. Ice cream made with milho verde. You can also see brigadeiro de milho. Brigadeiro is like those little truffle balls that are super common in Brazil that are delicious. Then you've got bolo de fubá. Bolo de fubá is basically the same as American cornbread. It's made with the corn meal. And then there's another type of cake that's called bolo de milho cremoso batido no liquidificador. It's basically like cake made with corn that's all creamy, beat in the blender. So that's another typical cake eaten in Brazil. And these are all eaten as desserts. Like I said, like cornbread in the US isn't really eaten as a dessert, but in Brazil it is. And then a couple other really traditional Brazilian desserts that I'm going to talk about. The first one is mingau, or another name for mingau is curau. Curau. So this is kind of like a pudding, but not totally. But it is made with corn and milk and sugar, and then it's thickened with like cereals to make it thicker. And it's really good. It's really delicious. It's hard for me to explain because I don't think we have anything exactly like that in American culture to compare it to. But if you get the chance to try it, you should because it's delicious. And then the other one is canjica. Canjica. So this is another dessert that's almost like kind of a soup, and it's creamy. So the difference here, first of all, is that you're going to use milho branco, or white corn, instead of the milho verde, or like yellow corn. So it's a different type of corn you use, and then it's cooked over the stove with milk and cinnamon and some other things, and it's served like a porridge, and it's very comforting. It's like a very nice comfort food, especially on like a cool rainy day. You eat your canjica and it's delicious. So So that's all I've got for you on corn, but I'm sure there's other recipes or food that uses corn that I haven't thought about. So let me know down in the comments if you think of any in either American or Brazilian culture that use corn. And guys, make sure you don't forget to give this video a like and also hit the subscribe and the bell for notifications so you don't miss any cultural or language tips about Brazil, the US, the English language, or the Portuguese language. And I will see you guys in my next video. Ciao, ciao.